Hello everyone, this is Beatrice. The following podcast contains potentially triggering discussions, so please take this as a warning. We will be talking about sexual violence. If that is a topic you are not comfortable with, please skip this podcast. And for those of you that will continue to listen, I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Devilman Crybaby, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Beatrice Murad, and today I have a full house. I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
John McKenna.
Hi, everybody.
And Steve Zeck.
Hello.
So today we'll be discussing the first 3 episodes of Devilman Crybaby. The entire 10-episode series came out on Netflix earlier this month, and the hype reached us. We haven't, or at least I haven't, watched beyond the first 3 episodes, so we won't be spoiling anything that happens episode 4 and up. But we are going to be breaking down episodes 1 to 3. If you haven't watched them, get on Netflix and give episode 1 a try. If it's to your style, then keep watching and then come back. And you can find out more about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can subscribe to us on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes, where we appreciate your star ratings, or search for Overly Animated on your favorite podcatcher. So, before I ask you guys to give me your general opinions about the first 3 episodes, let me just do a very quick and brief summary of this series' history. So, Devilman Crybaby is based on Go Nagai's manga, Devilman, which began its run in 1972. Did not know it was that old. And there was an anime based on the concept that aired simultaneously to the manga and is, of course, slightly different. I haven't watched the original or read the manga, so I don't know how different, but in a similar situation as Sailor Moon, distinctions between the original manga and anime were bound to happen. Fun fact, the original manga sparked protests because of its violence. Not surprising based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
But interesting.
Just a tad violent.
Just a tad violent.
I have my opinion of violence too, and my opinion of violence was meh. Compared to other animes I've seen.
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm getting at. There's been so much violence in more modern anime, I guess, that it's interesting that now it caused a protest back then. Is it the first one to have such violence? Who knows? I'm not that familiar with the series.
For me, it's more the sexual nature of the show that got me more, shocking than the blood and the violence.
Well, according to Wikipedia, so again, take this with an asterisk, the protests were because of the violence. But that's the first time I've read a manga being protested. It wasn't the anime, it was the manga, which is interesting. I don't know if that would happen at this day and age. But yeah, so Devilman Crybaby supposedly makes some drastic changes to the manga, but I haven't looked too deep into it because I don't want to get spoiled. And yeah, that was a brief look into the history, but I want to get opinions in. So John, let's start with you. What were your overall thoughts just on the 3 episodes? Just very broadly, did you like what you saw?
I must admit, when I saw the title Devilman Crybaby, I was not expecting a whole lot. But then when I saw, actually, I have to really give you, Beatrice, I gotta give you credit, because when you told us that the warning, how there's a lot of gratuitous sex and violence, I was like, well, now I have to see this. But so thanks for the recommendation. I really enjoyed it. It had great hooks at the end, and I think the characters are really interesting. I think the subplot it's a very clever play on how the Devil's relationship with humanity. I am a bit surprised that those parties have only one type of drug and one type of alcohol. That seems really boring. But I guess I guess
of the one thing that you know from the Sabbath, it's that it's a little boring. Okay.
No. Just the choice of alcohol. I prefer my satanic orgies to be well catered, personally.
Of course.
But aside from that, the animation I felt was okay. It's not Studio Ghibli, but it is one step up from Ruby, I guess. But for my first Netflix anime, I like where this is going.
Cool. Michelle, what about you?
Wow. I feel like a lot happened in those 2 episodes, but a lot was not explained at the same time. Yeah. So I'm kind of a little lost. And I went into this cold, but just I remember when they were going to the club, Rio didn't really, like, explain what was gonna happen in much detail, and all of a sudden, like, Akira, like, turns into, like, a devil man devil, and he's, okay, that's just the thing he is now. And, like, this happened in one episode. I guess I thought maybe they'd, like, build up to that more, but they're like, no, we got a lot of plot, I guess, to get through, so gotta get that out of the way right in the first episode. Yeah, I kind of what Steve was saying, like, the violence didn't bug me so much as the fact that a lot of times it was tied to, like, these very sexual visuals, and that kind of, it is what it is. I was also kind of bummed, because, like, I really liked Miki, and I was really sad when, like, stuff started happening to her. I was like, no, I liked you! Also, I thought maybe you were, like, a gay, athletic lesbian. Oh, no! What's happening? Also, like, why is Akira living at her house? Did his parents, like, abandon him? We get, like, kind of that flashback, but it didn't make sense to me exactly. So did they move away? And so he's living with her family? They're not related, I don't think.
I
just have so many questions about, like,
is he living?
No, they're not related. She said, she's my friend's mother. No, my mother's friend. Sorry, wrong.
Mother's friend's son.
John, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
Okay, so they're just friends. They live, like, right next door, I guess.
They live in the same house.
Yes, they live in the same
parents
house.
are dead. So.
Like, same complex,
Wait, they're
maybe.
dead. Okay, I didn't even, like, realize that so much happened. But, yeah, so, like, there are things I remember that stood out to me, but I just have, like, so many questions, and I hope things that are explained more in the next 3 episodes. We'll see.
Okay. So everyone's only seen the first. I know I told you guys to only watch the first 3, but I mean, you could have just binged it and stuff. So I just want to make sure everyone only watched the first 3.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Steve, what are your general thoughts on this?
Just quote something. So we get the voice right. What the hell was that? And I don't know if I mean in a good way or bad way, but yeah, it was. Not what I expected. I expected more violence than sexual content, but really it's as much sex, if not more, than violence. It's interesting. And also, for a show that's based on a 60s manga, there's a lot of gay in it, to be honest. And you gotta admit...
70s manga.
Right. Well, 70s... Do the manga from the 60s, though?
No, the manga started in 72.
Oh, 70, I'm sorry. Still, though, that's a long time ago. And in episode 3, Ryu, who are you kidding yourself? This is a love triangle. You want to kill that girl because he gets in the way between you and your man. So, what else? It's a fine show, though. Those rapper guys kind of annoy me. I'm waiting for them to die. Like, I'm had it with those guys. They're like, boom. They remind me of something like it's like I'm watching Samurai Champloo or something like. Well, they're rapping, but yeah. So far, I'm liking the show so far. Like I said, normally this type of anime really it's not really my style. Though I've seen a lot of I've seen some dark, adult anime like Dead Man Wonderland, like Monster. Though my preference though is, like I said many times. I'd rather watch a show like Little Witch Academia over Attack on Titan any day of the week because I prefer something that makes me feel good. But this was fine anyway. I'm interested to see where this goes. I do think perhaps either Akira or Ryu, they're going to be like the final villain because I can see they're going to set up either one could be like the final antagonist. I could see it going either way.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be. That's definitely something we're gonna talk about a little bit more once we talk about how they introduce this friendship/relationship that has a question mark on it. But okay, this is good. We have someone who enjoys it, someone who's not who just isn't sure yet. We have someone who's open to it. I didn't like this at all.
Really?
I really just look. You know that. Okay, boob physics and up the skirt shots. So basically, so there's this feeling I get, right? There's this feeling of cringe / oh, you're objectifying women for no reason and this is not worth it. There's this feeling I get. And this series essentially expands it for the 60 plus minutes we spent watching these 3 episodes. It feels like Okay, like I'm not the biggest EDM fan, but you know that hard EDM that if you aren't really into it, it just sounds like noise to you.
What's EDM?
That's what this is to me.
Yeah,
this
what
is noise.
EDM?
Oh, like like Skrillex, like really intense, like electronic music.
Okay.
Oh, you mean like that bump type
Oh
stuff?
yeah, that,
Type of stuff. Well, like, but the really harsh sound ones, where it's just, to me, sounds like noise because I'm not into that genre. That is this series for me. It's noise, it's ugly, it's gratuitous. Like, look,
your idea, Beatrice.
Okay, I know, but I didn't see it beforehand. I literally was like, I saw on Tumblr and was like,
so much
like people
fan out on Tumblr. That's why I went.
Exactly. I was like, oh, there's so much hype on Tumblr. It means it must be gay. I'll watch it. And on top of that,
it's a little gay though.
And on top of that, there's this spin-off that Go Nagai did, Devil Lady or Devilman Lady. And I didn't read the manga, but there was an anime that had come out and it was very gay. And when I was in high school, I watched it and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And it's dark, but it wasn't like this. At least from what I remember, it wasn't like this. And from what I've read, the anime of it is very different from the manga. The manga is much more like this style of what we saw. So I had no idea. I go into it thinking, oh, this is going to be like Devil Lady and it's going to be great. And no, it was just so disgusting and yucky and I don't want to keep watching. So I'm using this podcast as a way to like have you guys convince me that I should, so that this podcast series can keep going, or at least with me hosting this podcast series, it could keep going because I'm at that point where I'm just like, look, I don't know if I want to host these things because I really just did not enjoy this. The animation was wonky at times, which I can look past because maybe it's just budget, whatever. They took so many shortcuts in animation that it was noticeable. Like there are literally scenes where they don't have faces because they didn't want to animate just two lines. Like they didn't even want to bother.
It's the classic anime shortcut. Zoom out, so you don't have to animate the mouth.
Yeah.
And not just that, but like there's so many shortcuts. And it's 10 episodes. It's not 26, it's not 13, it's 10 episodes. And it showed me that they maybe didn't have as much money, or they were or maybe they're saving it for later episodes. Who knows? But I just really didn't enjoy it. The character development is like, there is none. It's just drastic shifts in characters. And there's just, it's like plot, like Michelle said, again, we're 3 episodes in, but it's a 10 episode series. So we're basically we're like a third of the way through, and there's still so many questions, so much setup, and there's no room to breathe. This series doesn't take time to breathe. And it's like, maybe it's because they decided to tell this show in 10 episodes, but if that's the case, then I think they made a mistake, because they had so much plot in here that they could have expanded on it. It was just rush. And I just can't stand the boob physics. I've never been able to. If this girl's on track, she wears a sports bra, and that doesn't happen. Like, it doesn't happen. You people, like, that's not reality. It's just lazy, and I hate it, and it's just for the sake of titillating male viewers, and it's just really annoying, this objectification, and I just did not like the show.
Well, titillate me. I prefer we leave some to imagination. Like, if you show, like, them topless, it's not really as sexual, like it's not really provocative to me as, say, most normal animes that at least would have fan service, but at least would cover people up.
But that's not the point. The point is that boobs don't jiggle that way.
Yeah.
That's not how they work. That's what I'm saying. And in the context of where they were at, she's just running in a track and field practice. She would be wearing a sports bra. And sports bras don't, like, prevent that from happening. That does not happen. And even if it were to happen in that situation, that wouldn't happen. So, like, even if it was just purely there for titillation, and it was just really frustrating to me, because I was just like, this is not earned. And even if it weren't, like, there's no point to it. It doesn't add anything, and they're not even subverting it. It's just there. And it's not, I can't stand it. I need to get that out.
Can I defend the boobs?
Sure.
Please, defend the boobs.
Okay, well, first off, I see your point about boob physics, but at the same time, it's like you're arguing about boob physics about in a sports bra, in a show where we saw boobs come to life due to demonic possession and decapitate a man. So I think we might have to suspend reality just a tad here.
I'm just saying though, like, that's when it's possessed.
That thing really just fascinated me.
And we saw a freaking vagina become a monster mouth thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Boobs
But
had
that's
mouths.
That's when it's possessed. I'm just saying, when they're not possessed, they shouldn't act like normal boobs. And that's not normal boobs. That's just anime boobs. And anime boobs, no matter what series, have always frustrated me. And that feeling just kind of expands in this series, because that's all it is, I feel. Just that just, look, I don't like Tarantino movies. This is not the Tarantino movies this is like not the quality of Tarantino movies. I'm just giving an example. I can look at a Tarantino movie and I'm like, I've seen it. I remember watching The Hateful Eight and I was like, objectively, I can see that this is a good movie. This is a well-made movie. The craft is there. But I personally don't like gore. At least not live action gore, because I've seen Attack on Titan. I've seen these type of animated shows. Usually in animation, it doesn't bother me as much.
Most overrated anime ever.
That's another conversation.
Yeah.
Point is, like, I don't mind the gore. But in this series, it is just so it's just not it's just not well done. And it's just not even the gore. It's just like, it's just there to be gory, and the same way as Tarantino stuff. But I always say, like, a PG-13 Tarantino is my ideal Tarantino, because then it wouldn't have that so much. But I can still stand back and go, okay, but that is still objectively good. I'm looking at this, standing back and being like, this is trash. Like, this is not well told. Maybe in the manga it's better told, they have more pages or something, but just based on these 3 episodes, I'm like, they're rushing through this. The characters, the choices, they don't make much sense. Like, I can't stand the complete, the dualness of Akira at the moment, where, like, his old self is just all but gone. Like, I just don't understand that. And it's so frustrating to see. And I'm just trying to understand why it has so much hype when I'm like, this is it? This?
Well, here's the thing. When I first went through, I was pretty surprised that they jumped right to the Sabbath scene. But the more I saw it again on rewatch, and what I realized is that, you know, the sex and the violence, it has a purpose. And for me, it's, you're trying to portray the, like, sort of what makes the devil this temptress of evil and hatred. And what do we associate with the devil? We associate the devil with temptation. And what's a big temptation? Sex, violence, drugs. And we had that all in that sort of overwhelming space like that. It definitely, it led you into this is what the devil wants us to have. And I really thought that was great. It was supposed to be over the top. It was supposed to be violent. It's supposed, I mean, the added violence of the guy breaking a champagne bottle and stabbing everybody to sort of get it going. And then you saw the animation become contorted and go all over the place. And the deliberately offensive color palette. I really thought they really hammered that theme really well in those scenes, and I really enjoyed that. And the visuals, yes, in terms of animation, I can see why this might seem cheap. I mean, good animation costs money. It doesn't matter if it's anime or Western. Like, we know that Studio Ghibli can do what they do because they have a printing press of money in their basement. Netflix probably, you know, they're probably not as great on the animation scene as some other studios are. They probably are being a little bit budget conscious here. But given what they were able to do with that budget and the sort of gangrenous nature of the almost spider-like quality of Akira when he became the devil, and Miki when she was possessed by a devil, that sort of almost spider-like movement, I really liked how aggressive it was, how it wasn't neat, how it wasn't tight, how it was in your face. And I actually thought it brought it all together, and I really, really dug that. And yeah, it does. And I get, you know, and the whole idea of Akira with the duel, he's fighting with himself. Like, he's possessed by...
But we don't see that fight. We barely see it.
I think we do. Because when he's sitting at dinner, he's crying because he's still very sympathetic.
That's the one moment he actually shows himself is when he cries. But then it's just like, wait, you're actually speaking in a different way now. And, like, as someone who's studied Japanese, like, that is a conscious choice, the way you talk. Like, that's not, like, unconscious. That's a conscious choice. You're going to speak that way. And it's like, had he been more fearful of himself, like, there's only the only 2 moments that you actually see him is when he cries and when he's with Ryo. Like, every other time, it's like, it's just, there's no confusion. There's no moment like, what is this? Like, there's no moment of him looking at the mirror and being like, okay, what just happened? Like, he barely deals with that. And I just, like, and going into the whole, like, sex and violence. Like, I understand the devil, but it still is very uncomfortable how there's this like link that seems to be going on with sex and violence. It's like, sex doesn't have to be violent. This is like a thing that everyone is like, for some reason, there's a link that people keep going between these two things. And it's like, this is why there's rape culture, because people think there's a link between these two things and there doesn't have to be a link. And it's just very frustrating to watch this and just be like, all right. Like, where's the, like, all right, this is
and
not
I will say,
nice.
like, the sexual part of the violence is very much, like, hetero male gazy coded. Like, we don't see any dudes, like, you know, being assaulted by other older dudes who want to take their photograph, or like dicks turning into weird mouths and killing people. You know, like there's a very particular way it feels like some guy who's like fascinated with the female form wants to be like, oh, but what if the boobs did this when she gets possessed? Yeah, I like this. I'm going to draw this, which is like, you know, it is what it is. But like, I feel like we should point that out too.
I find it interesting take though that they emphasize really how these devils, like demons, they're very perverts. They're sexual perverts. And a lot of times you don't really see that side of them in like fiction. You just see that they want death. They want to kill people. You don't see like they're real sickos and perverts. And that's kind of a unique take, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, you saw that in The Exorcist. I mean, just in the most classic of like possession. It's like that when you saw her, like that was.
Well, I'm interested to see though the female villain that Simone. What's that? I don't know her name. Well, I can see maybe she might do some pervert rapey things to males in future episodes, maybe.
The Exorcist takes a different angle though when it comes to that genre though. They take it the whole idea of possession and sort of that's a different horror genre. I think I don't think it's quite fair to link the two. You could do it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and you know that's Exorcist is a great horror movie. That goes one way, and Devilman Crybaby goes another way.
I'm not saying it's bad because it doesn't do what The Exorcist is. I'm just pointing out that this isn't unique because it links sex and violence or something like that. Like any sort of possession thing has had some sort of sexual element. I'm just frustrated to like that their link just even exists. So the fact that this is, especially like in this climate, I'm just like I'm very limited in my patience.
I'm still fine with it because there's sex, you know, there's the intimate love relationship between a man and woman. And then there's what this was, which was a big, massive pansexual orgy. I think we can, that is a little bit more aggressively demonic than, you know, just normal sexual intercourse, which is not in this at all.
Yes, yes it is. This, like, normal, like, fact is, one, normal is not being heterosexual, one. But two, like,
you know what I mean. Like,
I know, but the thing is, like, you have, like, that scene where the guy and the girl are having, like, heterosexual sex. It's just after, Ryo starts, like, in the, what do you call it? It's right before she becomes the demon with a vagina. They're having heterosexual sex. Like, that's there. Like, and you see women giving men blowjobs. Like, it is there. It's not just, like, it's pretty constant. Like, you see that. It is there in the imagery.
It's still in the context of a giant orgy.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's not that it's not, like, that type of imagery is not there yet. Like, it's not there. It is. It's just, like, you know, it's like, just because the context doesn't take the act, like, you could still have the act, just if the context is different. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I buy that argument.
I wonder though if the author, is he a very sexual perverted person, or is he the opposite of that, and this whole story is sort of a message against that type of behavior?
I don't want to look.
He's painting this
please, Michelle, please.
I would just say, from what I understood from this very confusing anime so far, the orgy was happening. People were doing drugs and drinking and fucking each other, and everyone was having a great consensual time. That's why Blondie was like, no demons are gonna come to this party because it's not sinful yet. They're just like doing them and like having a nice time, and everyone's into it. And everyone's having.
Then you had to ruin
this bottle of champagne.
Okay, guys, one at a time, please. One at a time.
He smashes the bottle and starts stabbing all the poor people, and then they start fighting each other. And then he's like, "Okay, good. Now the demons are definitely gonna come."
I felt sympathy for them too.
Made it nasty. It was blonde guy all along. It wasn't like that. The demons were going to come if they kept doing what they were doing. It's my.
I felt bad for those people too. I felt bad for them.
And what's really frustrating, it's like, okay, so now we've seen this guy killing people and not facing consequences for it. And then at the end of episode 3, when he's gonna kill Miki and he kills all these humans, and Akira's like, wait, but they're human. It's like, girl, where were you when he was killing people at the Sabbath? Where were you?
The thing they did is at the Sabbath, like, as soon as, like, Akira, when he started, like, trying to stop him, then, like, the drugged up people started, like, laughing at him. So, like, oh, they think it's funny, then they should die, because now they're awful. And so I think, like, that's what the episode was trying to make us feel. Like, as soon as the violence came up, it's like, oh, well, see, they're punching him too, so he shouldn't feel bad that they die. Whereas
but he defended Nagasaki. He was like, why are you killing Nagasaki? Who also is shown to assault women, who takes advantage of young women, and he himself, Akira, says it. So it's kind of like, it's like, look, if that's what they're going for, all right, fine, but then why aren't they consistent with it in the plot? Like, it's just, it's not well done.
Good question.
We're only 3 episodes in. Maybe it's going to develop. I mean, it ended on a cliffhanger.
I mean, that's what I mean, though. If it's going to develop, it's got to do it fast, and based on experience, whenever someone rushes through things, it doesn't turn out well. That's why I'm saying, like, this is we're already third of a way through this entire series. And, like, I'm not saying that having questions is bad. I'm saying the way that they're being, delivered, the way that things are going, the tempo is not helping. And the way things are being expressed to us, the way the story is being told, like, even just, it's just not well done, I think. It's like the anime's weak, like, not the anime, the animation's weak. The story, there are clear plot holes in the story that, hey, maybe if you actually took your time and explained things, and I'm not saying give every answer to everything, but being like, yo, why isn't Akira, like, why isn't the Akira only stopping Ryo, like, from killing Nagasaki? Why does that matter now? But before, it didn't matter. Why, like, what's going on? If anything, it would have made more sense for him to be more impacted before, because he wasn't being, like, possessed by a demon, like, by a devil. Like, now, if, like, you know, like, there's this extreme exaggeration that's just not helping this show. And what? I'm not asking for answers, I'm just asking for better presentation.
I just want to know why he's so friends with this guy, this creep here.
Yeah, I mean, when he showed up, like, on the boat dock, like, hey, I need you. He's like, oh, Ryo, my friend. Like, it's like, well, how long has it been? We saw a flashback of you hanging out with him when you were, like, really small, but, like, have you kept in contact a lot? It feels like you haven't seen him in a while. You're just gonna just drop everything for this guy? I don't know.
My big complaint about that was that they said how they're the same age, but Ryo is a professor in the U.S.
Yeah, what? So he's like a 15-year-old professor.
It's like, A, how old is Ryo? And B, or B, was that a shot at American academic education?
He said he's about to. Akira said he's like the same age as me, but he's a professor in the U.S. So
I think that line was just like gonna be. That line was just simply, "This guy's a genius." That's all you had. That was all that he just accelerated in education. So now he's a professor. Like that is like that I had no problem with that, because it was like, oh, okay, so Ryo's a genius. Okay, good to know.
I would have liked that to have been explained a little bit more, because you can't just drop the fact this guy is, you know, Sheldon Cooper levels of intelligence and then just believe it be. It's like, you know, he should act a little more brainy. I don't know if that's the word.
I mean, I think he does. I wrote this in my notes. He's essentially like Olivia Pope. He wears all white and he handles things.
Who?
Olivia Pope from Scandal.
Don't watch it.
Well, you know, people
who watch Scandal will really laugh at my reference, okay?
You know who he reminds me of? This Ryu reminds me of Izuya or Ryu from Dora Dora. That same type of character and same type of like genius who has his own place, but really, is he good or is he evil? Like, you ever see Dora Dora?
No.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. So that's the reference over your head, I guess. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, all right. That's like a lot of general thoughts that went from general to specific real quick. But let's get into the first episode. I Need You is the name of it. So, okay, let's talk about how Ryo and Akira are first introduced to us. They're introduced to us in this kind of very brief scenes of these two kids, very young. Like, do you guys think, like, that was successful as an introduction to these two characters? do you guys think that the way everything was set up, because it was very quick, but I feel like I personally thought that was really the strongest part of these 3 episodes so far, was this very quick scene, these very, very quick scenes that introduce Akira and Ryo, and just, you get the relationship. You get what their past is, what that is in those, like, miniature scenes. What did you think of them? Michelle.
Yeah, I liked the flashbacks. It's just like taking that into context, like, why? I mean, it seems like the show wants us to still feel like Akira has like a strong sense of morality, like right and wrong, and he empathizes with people because that's why he's called Crybaby, right? Because like if someone's sad, like he cried when that one guy was crying, I guess, by the track field,
like
and then he cries at dinner another time. But like, I don't know. He seemed to really love having a demon inside him. And like, he was, like you said, Beatrice, he was like super fine with it after it happened. We don't really see him like grapple with that huge shift that's like supposedly in his life forever. So it's just, I wish they could have tied that back more. Like the Akira we saw in the flashback, just like crying over this cat and not wanting it to get killed, with like the Akira who seems kind of fine with murder as long as it's like on his terms, I guess.
Yeah, you know, he reminds me a bit. His crying thing is of Steven Universe.
Yes,
like, it's not as consistent though.
Yeah,
like we see it 2 freaking times.
I know Steve would not do the stuff
established to me.
I know Steve would never do the stuff he does later in the series. I'm just saying the whole crying thing. I feel people's paying so much.
I want to keep Steven Universe and this show away from each other as much as possible, because I think I don't want to taint Steven Universe at all. It's precious and should be protected.
Make Steven Universe Devilman Crybaby. That's our petition.
But I will say though, like the Akira that we meet in the present before he becomes a devil, like the Akira we meet, right? All we see from him is one, like the crying, when he cries over them, which is like, okay, you're a crybaby. It fits with the flashbacks. All right. And then we see him stalk Miki. And I'm like, all right, I don't know if I can get behind this. Like, what were you doing stalking Miki? Like, leave her alone. Like, let her be herself. Like, and it wasn't even, like, they could have presented it as, like, him being to Miko being like, yo, I'm gonna, like, look, it's dangerous. Let me just go, I'm gonna go help her. Like, but that's already me having to fanfic for this, like, to save his face for him. And it's just not good. Like, I don't know, like, the sweet boy that we met does not, like, he is not that boy when we meet him in the present. And it's like, if we had spent more time with him, realize like, okay, well then who are you as a person, so that when that dramatic shift happens, it's not just physical, and then it's like less like, okay, now I can understand like this juxtaposition. Like, were you always just like a creep, and now because you're attractive, it's okay? Like, what is going on?
Yeah. And later on, can we talk about how this show treats the female characters?
I mean, we can talk about it now. Honestly, we've been jumping all over the place. So please.
Okay. It's a product of a lot of, like, in my opinion, these mangas from back in the day, they had a very, like, bad track record with the way they treat their female characters. Like, for example, a series called Parasite. They treat the main female character simply like Lois Lane, the damsel, pretty much. She's not really allowed to do really anything except be, like, moral support for the main character. And I feel a lot of the old school shows, like old school series like that, like JoJo Bizarre Adventure, kind of denigrate women just a bit towards half a character than what they could be.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't really been given much to do. I mean, I think honestly, the female character that has shown kind of the most like complexity, at least in terms of plot, is Miko, who's like, okay, she feels inferior to Miki. She's like, she's going through her own thing. She's attracted to Akira, but was she attracted to him before? And now she's just more attracted to him now? Is it just pheromones? Like, what is going on? But the thing is like, one, that characterization is very cliche. Like we've seen, it's like, okay, we have like the best friend who actually secretly hates her because she's jealous. That's cliche.
Well,
and then we have like, and that storyline is like, it's kind of dragging the other stuff because the other stuff is more interesting than her storyline. So the fact that the one female character that shows promise in terms of complexity already, like, it's weighing the show down because it's just, even then, it's not that well done.
I saw it exactly that way. I do also think that Miko, right? I do think part of her is also kind of attracted to Miki too. Or maybe that's just my mind thinking like that.
Well, Miki's just like really cool. I feel like everyone could potentially be attracted to her.
Yeah, she's they're building her up as the jock essentially.
Yeah, essentially,
basically, yeah.
Which
please.
I like because usually it's the man that's the jock. It's not. I think it's kind of nice that we actually have a female jock in that role now.
That's great, but then why is she taking, like, model pictures and being completely like, oh, I have to please this guy and needs Akira to tell her, like, he's taking advantage of you. Like, I would appreciate...
He's going into journalism.
Journalism.
Talk about that guy. So it seems like, did Miko get, like, legit assaulted by him? Because when she started to masturbate thinking about Akira, it seemed like she was also flashing back to, like, that photographer taking pictures of her and, like, putting his hands on her. And it seemed like she was going through this issue of not being able to, like, enjoy her own pleasure because of this, like, traumatic experience that might have happened in the past. Which sucks, because that means, like, the two ladies we know are both, like, assaulted in the first 3 episodes by the same guy. Like, that's
just creepy. Like, really? Yeah. This piece of crap, like, the character, like, come on, ladies, come on. How dumb can you be to give this guy the time of day?
I don't want to victim blame.
Yeah, I don't think we should blame the ladies for getting.
I know
it's like it's quite clear.
What did I tell you about the way these old school series they kind of treat their female characters? Like they don't write them as well as maybe modern day stories might be a little better, but even like one thing about shonen manga, it's always had that problem with female characters. They don't write them well. A lot of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, but like in terms of direction, like this is a current show that just came out, and I don't think we can just say, "Oh, well, it's an old story," so like it doesn't matter what happened. Like they still have a lot of control to how to frame things and how to like what to focus on. So I think it was very intentional how this came out, and it's okay to critique it that way.
Yeah, and not just that, but they made, according to a Reddit post, they made changes to the manga.
Okay.
I guess to make it more, I'm assuming to make it more modern. So they're willing to make changes, but the fact that this is not one of those changes, that they're willing to, or at least not give the women the agency to like, actually be like, actually just say the word rape. Just say it. To have that in the vocabulary already changes the dynamic, you know, because now it's for sure said, like, it's out there, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, yeah, they could have been, there are things that could have been done to make that, they could have adapted this in a much better way and still kept and still kept the essence of it. Cause hey, like, if they're gonna go with that, if they're gonna explore that perversion of sexuality and how it gets perverse by violence, then fine. But there could have been a way to do it without, you know, not romanticizing it. What is that word? Like glorifying it? Because there were moments where I felt it was being glorified a little bit.
It's you know what it is? It's like that whole interaction with Miki and Nagasaki. I definitely feel like I'm not entirely sure if I want to criticize the show or I want to criticize the dubbing in English. I watched this.
Oh, you watched it in dub.
I watched
both
versions. I watched both versions, so
I hate watching it. I hate watching stuff anime in Japanese personally. I would much rather watch it in English and just roll with it because for me personally, I know since this is a Netflix show, I generally trust that Netflix will do a proper dub, just like how I trust Disney to do a proper dub of a Miyazaki movie.
Can I tell you something though? What happened like in the first episode that the professor that killed himself, like in the original Japanese, he was talking English, and in the dub, he's talking some other language. Yeah,
Russian maybe, since he is Russian.
Oh, yeah, probably.
No, he's he's in the original Japanese. Like he's talking English, and they even subtitle the English with English. It's very weird.
The subtitles don't line up with the dialogue either.
Oh yeah, and
well, I mean, maybe the subtitles are simply like, what if someone's deaf and they can't? There may be a purpose to also subbing that, you know.
Well,
so it's not that it's like.
But it's like sometimes. Well, I mean that happens, but it's usually it's like 98%, you know, in line. This one was all over the place. Like they were. I don't think it was like there were like two lines that were perfectly matched up. I think they were translating the Japanese, but not the English.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some subtitles. Sometimes watch the dub. You saw subtitles on it for some reason. So might be some malfunctions.
Yeah, but getting back to what I was saying. That's why wasn't sure if this is the show's fault or the dubbing's fault. But the dialogue between Nagasaki and his boss and Miki, it felt oddly stilted. Like he's saying, you know, I've got this great story. I found this devil man, he changed like this. And the boss actually literally says, your job is to take pictures of bikini models. I'm like, wait a minute. This sounds very hammy. I'm like, something just didn't seem right. It felt too blunt to say, this is great journalism, but why aren't you taking pictures of naked girls? I feel like a real boss working at a nudie match was a lot more delicate.
He was working for Silene or something. Yes. He was working for her. He was
villain. So yeah, he wasn't really a real human journalist, a human editor. So
I know, but I feel like the dialogue could have been a lot more polished.
I mean, I feel like most of the dialogue could have been a lot more polished, but yeah, like you're right. Like that was the same thing happened in the Japanese. Like the same thing. Like that's what he said. Like maybe it's the performance because I didn't mind it as much, or maybe it was just that I was done with the show by then. But that there wasn't any real difference between the English and the Japanese in that scene.
So okay, so in other words, that really was the dialogue. It wasn't just a bad dub.
Yeah, that was still the dialogue.
Okay.
But, okay, so so I can move past episode 1 on the outline. Because we basically covered we covered the Sabbath, which is the main thing, and we talked about the objectification, which is the main thing. But how does this, where were you after episode 1? You were just like, what were you feeling right after that episode? Before you went into episode 2? Like, where was your mind at that point, Michelle?
Still confused. More excited about Miki, probably. I will say, as much as like a lot of the dynamic doesn't quite make sense to me about Akira and Rio and like their bond, it's clear they like are gay for each other, and part of me still really likes that, even if they're like doing awful things. Like that random hug he gives him when he's holding the gun on the dock. It's just like, oh, okay, wow. It's kind of weirdly sweet in a way.
Yeah, the hug, and they keep the hugs. The hugs keep coming, which is very sweet. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
The gay is what keeps me from leaving.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, well, then, do you buy the whole, like, Akira Miki thing, then?
I think it's complicated, and I also don't know if the author, like, I don't know anything about the person who wrote this, but I wonder if, like, some of the gayness between Akira and Rio was, like, supposed to be subtext, but it feels very texty text to me. Because, like, maybe Akira is supposed to be into Miki, but, like, clearly he's got a thing going with Rio, so I don't know if that's going to work out.
I do think legitimately Ryu is jealous of Miki, and he definitely has a grudge against her. I think that's legit. That's not subtext. That's text.
I don't know if he has a grudge against her. I think Ryo, like, literally doesn't give a shit about anyone who's not Akira at this point. Like, he seems to not have a soul. Like, he's willing to just shoot anyone. And it's not that he particularly hates Miki. I think he just, like, he logically sees she's an obstacle and that she might have seen his transformation, and that means she might know his identity, and that could be, like, bad news bears down the line. But I don't think it's, like, a particular grudge. It's just how he thinks.
And not just that, but I don't think he's actually met her properly. Like, I don't know. Like, I think she's just in the periphery. I don't think it's a very specific grudge or any sort of jealousy in that sense. Like, she just barely exists for him. She's just, like, if anything, like Michelle said, she's just kind of this obstacle that he doesn't really care for. But yeah, John, where were you? Episode 1? Were you just clicking? Were you just clicking episode 2? You were just like, I need more, or where?
No, I if I may quote I was basically, please, sir, I want some more. I was like, give me more. Give
Press
me
the enter
more.
button.
I was, no, it's like, no, when I saw it, like, when they set it up like that, and the ending of him being this, like, this mutant devil thing, I must admit, the first thing I thought of was, this is going to be a darker Danny Phantom. That was what came in. I'm like, and I like Danny Phantom. I want to see where this is going. I was really into it by the end of episode 1. And, okay, yeah, I'll admit the Sabbath was what got me into it. I'll say, okay, this is great. Beatrice was right. This is gory and sexual. I needed this right now, so I wanted more of it.
Okay, so...
Really?
Sorry.
Okay. Never mind. I found the anime I wanted to talk about before, so when you guys are ready, I'll tell you what the comparison I wanted to make.
Gotcha.
I'll openly admit that I have a completely messed up mind. That's why.
Look, most people are really enjoying this show. Like, all I've been reading is positive. Like, if there's like an odd person out in this conversation, it's me. Like, and I'll be the first to admit that.
Well, I don't love the show. I don't hate it as much as you do, Beatrice, but I admit there are better shows than this though for this genre, like Dead Man Wonderland, like or Hellsing, and especially Monsters. I take those shows over this any day of the week. So
yeah, I don't know a lot of people honestly who said they love it. A lot of people just say like, I finished Devilman Crybaby and it wrecked me. Like, I don't know why it wrecked them yet. I can't see why in 3 episodes. But like, I think it just emotionally hits you more than it's like a masterpiece. I would say it's my takeaway from other people who talk about it.
I don't think it'll wreck me because I've seen worse. Like I've seen stuff more wrecking because after seeing, like I said, Monster, nothing can top Monster. So good luck, breaking me. But anyway, the comparison I want to make with whole Miki's family and Akira and the dynamic, I think the influence from it is a movie called Summer Wars.
Oh, I've seen that movie. But wait, no, I don't know if that's like a...
The part when the little brother was looking at the pornography definitely had a bit of a Summer Wars vibe for some reason. The whole little family, like they're one little family, they got like one computer in the living room. I'm like, I'm thinking of Summer Wars in this type of show. What is wrong with me?
Like, I do not see the correlation. Like, they're just completely different things. And I feel like that was just like a one-off. I don't know if we're even going to see the family again. Like, the family's clearly not a super important thing in this show. Like, at least that family in particular. Like, I don't think, if anything, what I found most interesting about that scene was just that they're having supper and then pan to the Last Supper. Pan to that art piece. And I was just...
Yo, why is that in their house? Are they really religious?
Which makes me wonder again about this author. Was this author a very religious person and this whole thing was anti-sexual
violence?
I don't know if it's anti-anything.
I really, again, if this movie, it's about devils, I think he is definitely trying to play off the battle, the devil versus light battle in very much within a Christian framework.
Yes,
so I think that's
completely agree with that. I just don't, Steve, I don't want to, just because someone writes like something that's very sexual does not make them a pervert, or does not, just because someone make the story does not reflect their own ideals or views. Just because he's writing a very Christian tone type of mythology thing doesn't mean he's Christian. Maybe he is, who knows? But like that doesn't reflect on the author so much, if that makes sense.
I just thought maybe this is like some irony like type of story he's trying to write here, or
I think it's actually I'm sort of glad you brought that up, honestly, because the more I think about the fact that Miki's family is very Christian, the more I'm starting to think that they're going to have a bigger part to play in the next 7 episodes in regards to Akira and Ryu.
I just hope Miki plays a bigger role here. I don't really care about the rest of the family. I hope she gets to have her moment to shine and not just be this damsel in distress or something like.
I hope that too, but as of this moment, I'm not sure how they're going to do that in 7
So I doubt that. I doubt that very much. I don't really trust this show to do that.
I just think that she's just not, like, I don't need her to be a protagonist, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think she doesn't need like a moment where she's a badass or something. But
Well, it would
But
be
what
nice
I
if you knew Akira
But what I
was
do
Devilman.
need
That's why
is a moment where, she shows some sort of agency. Not so much like, like I never fully understood why it is that she's like even taking pictures for Nagasaki. Like, I'm like, do you want to be a model? Do you want to, what is it that you want to do with these pictures? Like, why are you doing this? Like, there's just this kind of lack of understanding her rationalization of things. I feel like she's just being put in these situations. At the moment, she's only being put in these situations so that she either,
she's just
so she can either be saved or be objectified, whatever the case. Like, that is the only thing I'm seeing at the moment with her. So, yeah.
It's like you don't want her to be, and I'm borrowing this. I think I'm borrowing it from Michelle. You want it to be where Miki can't be replaced by a lampstand.
That would be nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm worried though, like that eventually Ryu is going to set her up to quote unquote accidentally die, so Akira won't be mad at him.
What? Wait, you think he's gonna like try to get her killed so Rio's not mad at him?
No, Rio. No, I think Rio might.
Oh, I see.
It just accidentally died. Like, I'm sorry, Akira. It was an like she died accidentally. I had nothing to do with it. So
if Akira buys that, then he's more of an idiot than I think he is. Like, he's not gonna buy that. Like he.
But with Ryu, he might just look past that because he's just so like Ryu. Maybe he just thinks too much highly of him.
Episode 3, where it ended, it was with Ryo and him like butting heads. Literally, he was not.
Yeah. But they have the bond, a blood bond. It's like gay and like something else. I don't know, but it's
they're both entering
basically.
Yeah.
One thing would have been cooler though. Akira's name was Ken. That'd be kind of made cooler because Ryu and Ken just.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Street Fighter. You never heard of Street Fighter?
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. But actually, another thing. There's actually one thing as well. And while we're on the symbolism, we had the Christian symbols and all that. But what is messing me up inside is whenever you see like a guy dressed in white and a guy dressed in black. In general, the guy in white represents the force of good, and the guy in black represents the force of evil. But is that the case here?
Well, what do you think?
No, but like that's like level 1, like, oh, see, we did the opposite of what you thought. Isn't that clever? Like, I don't know. I don't feel very strong.
I think it's going to be more complex than that, personally. And
I would hope so.
But I feel like it's almost a diversion.
Okay, well, what do you guys think is going to happen? Like, obviously, at this point, Akira's going to protect Miki. I feel like that's safe to say. Like, he's going to pick her in this ultimatum that Ryo makes for him. He's going to pick her in this instant. But, like, do you guys think that is Akira gonna lose himself? Like, just based on these 3 episodes, is Akira, do you think right now, is he gonna lose himself to the devil? Or is Ryo gonna be the big bad at the end?
Yeah.
I think Ryo might be the big bad, just because like he literally doesn't seem to have like a sense of like any moral code at all. Like he's like logical like to a fault. So if anyone's going to be a villain, probably him.
He's lawful neutral.
Yeah.
I think though they might go more ambiguous in terms of both of them sort of being antagonistic forces, and you like the reader, you kind of not making clear who you're supposed to root for, whether it's like, just say like Akira dies, whether that's good or bad. It's supposed to be like, I don't know, maybe something along the lines of, say, Death Note, which is not a series I really liked, but, you know.
I don't know. I feel like they work really good as a team, though. And just, like, even those moments where they were at Ryo's house and Akira's like, hey, you should eat this thing. He's like, I'm busy. So just, like, feeds it to him and he like throws him in the pool to make him like do something other than work. I feel like they are legitimate friends, even though we haven't really like had a lot of evidence for that. But I don't think they're gonna like fight each other a whole lot. They seem to get along like really well, except for Miki.
Speaking of Miki, I kind of wonder if maybe out of nowhere Akira get this new power of erasing memories. So hey, I go erase Miki's memories, so we're cool now, right, dude? Right, Ryu?
I don't know. Like, look, when Miki saw him, that was when she was possessed. So I don't know if she's even going to remember this.
Yeah,
but it's also kind of funny how they're trying to figure out like, does Miki know he's possessed by the demon? It's like, well, she's gonna know something's up because one day Akira is this, sort of. It's this sweet, awkward high school kid who, might have a thing for. The next day, he looks like he just listens to the entire discography of My Chemical Romance.
I just hope, she figures out Akira is Devilman. I mean, please let that happen. Don't let this be another one of those shows like Parasite when the female protagonist doesn't figure out until maybe the very end, and even then is ambiguous. So
I mean, okay. Yeah, please, John.
Well, I think the direction they're going to go is that we see it as the standard operating procedure for the devil. Because the devil has a standard operating procedure. Is that when a devil takes over the body, it consumes the body. It turns it into the vessel by which it can spread its temptation. The mix here is, and this could be the right thing, it's Akira is fighting that on the inside. It is very much right now a situation where the villain and the hero is the same person. And I think that's a really, if they do that right, this could be such a great dynamic.
So you mean like the person they mentioned at the beginning, Amon, what's his name? Amon,
I think Amon's the unseen I think Amon is is Satan probably.
Like legit Satan.
The very name Amon has popped up in a lot of places.
No, they could maybe Amon. It'd be fun maybe if Amon jumps from Akira to Ryo's body, and then we can have that real fight. Devilman versus, Amon.
I hope we never see Amon personally, because I really feel like there's a lot of value in having the grand Satan Amon be this invisible presence acting through everybody. Because again, going back to the biblical themes of the devil does not make himself visible. He acts through people, and that could be a really interesting dynamic. It's gonna be Akira versus himself, and Akira versus himself, and the devil's agents. Yeah. So that we're seeing that already a little bit too, and the way they're animating it, I think I go back to the way they're animating this. I really like the way they're animating those kind of conflicts, because it does. I mean, the fact that animation looks rough adds to it. It looks gangrenous. It looks reptilian. It looks messed up, offensive, does not make sense. It hurts your brain, but the animators clearly, I think they want you to be offended. They want your brain to be hurt, because that makes it, then that engrosses you in the show that much more when they do that.
So some things though didn't make me want to throw up, like just how boobs moving around like a weapon. I mean, that's a little too much for me. I'm like,
again, that feels like something like some dude be like, boobs are fascinating, especially because I don't have them. Let's see what I can do with my imagination.
But again, I sort of, in hindsight, I mentioned, I kind of liked that mechanic, because I, as a heterosexual male, saw these boobs and was like, these are nice boobs. But then I see these boobs becoming mutant and attacking people, and I'm like, God, no, that was awful. Which I was like,
well, I was fascinated the entire time. I was just like, wow, this is a very creative way to do this.
Here's a hot take though. Why can we do it the other way? Are we maybe in a future episode going to see maybe a penis used as a weapon? I mean, come on. I mean, equal time, people.
I don't think we will, and then that's not because I don't think that wouldn't be interesting. Well, it probably might be, but I think it's also because I think there's a rule in Japanese animation: you can't show crotch.
So double standard. So you can show as much female body as you can, but male bodies, no.
You can't show the vagina, or you can't show the vagina.
Well, I mean,
either.
They show the vagina monster, so I'm just saying, maybe they could show.
But that's a monster. It's not the genitalia.
I know, but that's what I mean. Maybe what everyone else is saying is maybe that they'll make a monster out of a penis, and then and you won't see the penis, but you'll see the monster from a penis, and you'll know it's from the penis. You know what I mean?
You'll know.
That's what we're talking about.
That probably could happen. And also, fun fact, that's also why tentacle porn exists, because of that restriction.
Of course, yeah.
To know that.
Thank you, Anthony Bourdain.
I think I'm learning a little too much about Japan, the underbelly of Japan, than I want to here.
It's not representative of Japanese culture. If anything, it shows it's a very westernized kind of anime because it is dealing with a lot of Christian themes. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Well, there's Christianity in Japan.
Yeah, but it came from the West. It didn't start in Japan.
Well, yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's...
Well, Christianity in general came from the West.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to be like, I'm learning so much about Japanese culture from this movie or the show. It's like, it's not like that.
No, this isn't the anime you watch to learn about Japanese culture.
Is what I'm saying.
And this is also not anime you like for beautiful art. This is no Little Witch Academia. This is not Little Witch Academia here.
Oh no, like we've established, I mean, I think we're pretty much in agreement that this is that Studio Ghibli or Mary and the Witch's Flower. This is not.
Yeah, that's probably also because of budget. You know, there's a lot of other things beside. Like, if they had all the money, they would look better. Like that. Nor is this Hellsink or Monster 2 if you go stay in the genre of what type.
But I will say this: I feel like it's fair to compare this to, say, the animation in Ruby. I'm starting to watch. I've seen the first few episodes. This is better animation though than Ruby, which I feel like is Yu-Gi-Oh! By way of Jimmy Neutron. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's fair. It's a fair comparison because they're two different types of animation style. They're using different ways of animation. Like, it's different techniques. So I don't know if it's fair to compare them.
I know. I'm going just by the eye test. Like, one looks obviously CGI. This one looks like I can look at it and I can see that someone put a pen to a paper and drew it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh,
and this is one show though for sure. You don't want someone to walk in the room while you're watching it.
Oh, my mom walked in right when the boobs came out.
That's a conversation to be had. It's like, no, Mom, please.
Hi, son. Oh, you're busy. I'll come back later.
No. It's the golden rule for any heterosexual man has had this golden rule. Whenever you watch something, no matter how innocuous it is, the boobs and the sex come out always right when your parents walk in the room. That's just the law. That's the law. That's the law of physics.
That's how it is.
It's physics. It's like you could be watching a nice nature documentary about middle-aged warfare in Poland, and then right as your parents walk in, boom comes the pillaging and the raping.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Is this Devilman based on Western superhero? Because I know there's a familiar hero that sounds very similar. There's some movies about him.
Hellboy?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. I think this is its own thing. Again, it came out in 1972. I don't know when Hellboy started, but I wouldn't want to say this is inspired by. I think it's more inspired by Christianity than it is inspired by a superhero.
And I really, hopefully, they don't make a live action adaptation of this. Please, no. Whether it's made in Japan or made
the reason it's an anime is because it can't be anything but. That's not gonna happen.
It would look if they make it live action, it would just be. I think there's no way you can make it look good.
And not just that, but it would be porn.
It'd be NC-17, man. No one's gonna be able to see it really in the mainstream.
Notice. I think if they made this live action, no one would be saying, "Oh God, this is all violent." They'd be going, "My God, that is one fake-looking devil."
Basically, yeah, they would probably be doing that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think Hollywood they care about the violence. It's the sexual nature that people be all up in arms, at least today.
Yeah.
People tolerate Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't watch Game of Thrones that often, but there was it does have controversies when it deals with the sexual violence and the sexual violent nature of that show. So, I mean. Look, if I'm already annoyed by the link between sex and violence in the show, trust me, if it were live action and people were watching it, there'd be more of it too. There'd be more of that sort of discourse as well. But, okay, so then we've kind of, without really going scene by scene, we've kind of talked about these three shows. So, three episodes. So, okay, so first, how would you rank them? In terms of quality, from what we've seen so far, from what you know, just based on them alone, how would you rank each episode in terms of, which is the best, which is the one that worked the least? John, tell me how I should be ranking these.
I just go straight the order. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
One set the tempo pretty well. 2, we dug a little bit deeper into Akira's new devil form and all the the added strength he has, the mutations, his voracious appetite, and all that, and we get to see sort of what does a devil human perfect hybrid look like? And 3, the cliffhanger was good. It definitely leads into a potential conflict down the line. But to be fair, I felt a little slow, and the dialogue I felt was the worst of the 3.
Gotcha. How about you, Michelle?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the first one just like made me the most excited, and the second one was like, oh, it's like the aftermath of the first episode. The third one was like, oh no, I liked this character. It was sad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what about you, Steve?
I kind of agree too. I definitely think 3 was definitely the worst, but I could go either way with 1 and 2. But I guess I go with 1. I guess it goes unanimous consent with number 1. I think the show definitely has potential. Though I thought it has some funny moments. Like I thought, like when we first saw episode 2, Akira, the way he treated all those fangirls. If this was another series, another like more like a lighter tone, was an adult series, I think I kind of would like that type of humor. But yeah, it's fine. It has potential, but number 1 is probably the best. 3 I just like the least, mainly because the way they treated Mickey, ugh.
Gotcha. I would rank 2 and 3 equally, simply because because again, I watched this all in one go, and they just kind of felt just a continuation of each other. It just kind of was just, both did the same thing to me. Neither of the two, like, they just kind of blurred together for me. Neither of the two was able to stand apart of the other. Whereas with 1, it was the better of the 3 in total, but 2 and 3 to me were essentially just one long episode. But yeah, there's only one thing that we haven't really touched upon, really, in a roundabout way, and that's Celine, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I didn't really pay attention, but what do you guys hope to see from her, Michelle?
Wait, who is this character?
She's the one who...
The silver-haired girl.
Like, the one who's, I think, Amon's betrothed, I think is safe to say.
Yeah.
The one who jerked herself off into being a devil.
Yes,
right.
Yes. Michelle, give me your thoughts. Walk me through this.
I think she seems interesting, I guess. I mean, she's just kind of this looming, shadowy figure. I think if Satan, like the legit devil, does end up showing up, that seems to be who she's waiting for to like do anything. It seems like all the demons are kind of waiting around for Satan to like, I don't know, kill all the humans. I don't know what their plan is, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see more of her, and maybe she'll find out about Devilman Crybaby dude, and I don't know. Something will happen.
Okay, well, do you think she's going to survive by the end of the show? Like, is she going to be there in the last episode, or is she going to die before the last episode?
She might not die. For whatever reason, I do feel like Miki might die before she dies. But, I mean, she could die too, I guess. Anyone could die.
Gotcha. What about you, Steve?
I like her. She seems interesting. She really hasn't done anything. I just hope, though, she kind of lives up to any hype they have of her. I hope, like, she doesn't get one shot. I just hope she becomes more of an important character and not just some, like, Amon, like, fangirl.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think that she's going to survive till the last episode or no?
I don't know. I don't see her surviving the series, but she could make it till the end.
Okay. All right. What about you, John?
She definitely seems like almost like if there is a religion, if there is a satanic religion, she's sort of like the high priestess of it. I think I want to say that she is going to survive until the end, if only to be if not the final boss, but one of the final bosses.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could see that. I actually think she's not going to survive till the final episode. I think she's going to be like the final boss before the final boss.
Oh yeah, I do think
Satan might be the final boss.
Yes, I think
one of our main two are going to be the final boss, but I
think what might happen that she could be she might wind up being Amon made flesh. Like Amon like Amon will be the final boss will be Amon acting through her. Because she seems to really want to be that vessel. Like, she is giving herself over to her.
Gotcha. I'm gonna call episode 7. She's gonna die episode 7. That is my estimate. I don't know if I'm even gonna watch the show till then, but that is my guess.
Right.
But do you guys have any last thoughts on these 3 episodes? Again, we didn't really go super in detail, but there were just a lot of things and emotions to get out. But anything that you want to mention, any particular scene, something that you just really want to get off your chest? Michelle. Putting you on the spot.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks, though.
Steve, anything else that you want to mention about the show?
Not really. I think I got off my chest. It could be a little more bloody if it wanted to be, but I'll still keep watching. But it's not a show that's wowed me yet.
Gotcha. And John, anything that stood out to you that you want to quickly mention?
Well, a couple things. One, I'm gonna place money down now. Anime Boston's coming up in 2 months. I think I'm gonna see at least 3 people going as Akira and Ryu. That's gonna be a duo. I'm gonna see it at my local anime convention. And if you're in Boston, Anime Boston, it's Easter weekend. It's a great con. You'll learn a lot about Japanese culture there. I recommend it. And 2, probably the most triggering scene for me personally. And again, this is gonna be a weird one. It's when Akira is eating that chicken. Because he's ripping off the legs, he's sticking the whole leg in his mouth, and he's pulling on the bone, and he just sucks all the meat off, and it looks like he's gonna bite the bone with his front teeth. I just got 2 temporary caps on my front teeth because I had a horrible accident on New Year's Day, and I'm just watching him like ripping that meat off the bone. I'm just like, oh, that looks like it's painful because I know that would break my teeth in half.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
what an insight.
Like the way it was animated, was pretty. They zoomed in on his mouth, and he's just scarfing it down. You see the meat in his teeth. He's pulling the bone out basically like a hungry cannibal. And it's like he's got it caught on the bone. He just goes, yank, and out it comes. I'm like, oof. That's an image That's an image I didn't realize I would react to until I saw it.
Gotcha.
Show had a lot of images I don't want to rethink again.
Well, for me, the last thing I want to mention is that there is that little, I don't know if we talked about it, but there is that little scene with Miki and her brother, and then he goes like, oh, so Akira is being swept away by this prince guy. And she was like, no, well, maybe. And that was really the first time that I saw any sort of subtext actually become text, where it's okay, so there's a possibility that there might be something to this Akira Ryo relationship later down the line. It may be more than just subtext, which is enticing. That in itself is what would make me keep watching this, is just even though I don't know how it would feel that the one one of the few times we actually get textual gay romance is in a show about the devil. I don't know how I feel about that. That makes me slightly uncomfortable, but there is, if done in a way that I don't think they're gonna do, then maybe they could pull it off.
I didn't see that gay subtext or gay text, honestly. I thought it was more a case of this kid's really, really awkward, really isn't good socially, and she's thinking, well, the only time I've seen him be actually genuinely social is with this one guy from his past. Maybe he's gay. I was like,
yeah.
I'm like, hey, I didn't see anything really gay in it. Honestly.
I don't know. Seeing those two together, though, especially child flashback, reminds me of Lelouch and Suzaku from Code Geass.
Don't get the reference.
Yeah, I haven't seen Code Geass, so I can't say.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
But Michelle, you seem to have a reaction to that.
No, I agree with you, Beatrice. It's a very overt, pointed, I think he might be into that guy. Oh, maybe he's not going to be hanging out with you as much, Miki. I mean, we'll see where it goes, but just based on the amount of fan art I've seen and the way they've interacted with each other, especially if Ryo's been gone in America for years, presumably doing that research with that dude. It just feels a little strange to just be a random friendship. So maybe it's a special friendship. We'll see.
It's not a random friendship. They were friends since childhood.
I could
Well,
see
yeah, but
I could see them making out at some point.
well, there you go.
There
Maybe
you go.
In Ryu's apartment, in his bedroom, I could see something there.
So, all right. Well, then that's how we're gonna close off with potentially them making out in Ryo's like apartment. But yeah, you can find out all the information on this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can join us on Discord to text chat about animation at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Brendan, aka Kells. And thanks as always to our Patreon executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. If you want more anime discussion, listen to our recent Sailor Moon podcast or our Little Witch Academia coverage. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.